If you'd like to make your NFL games a little more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast, presented, of course, by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Now I got 5 podcasts. Andrew Brandt does the business of sports on my network, which is very interesting. Fantasy Feast twice a week to help you win your season long against your buddies or your DFS. We, of course, have the College Draft Podcast, which more of you need to listen to. We break down the biggest games, but Emory makes his picks against the spread in the biggest college football games every week. The 4 or 5 biggest college football games, the great Emory Hunt, who's been very successful, makes his picks against the spread. Listen or watch youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. And of course, the Ross Tucker Football Podcast is daily. Just making sure you're up to date, everything going on in the NFL, so you don't miss anything. So when you place your bets, you didn't miss an injury, you didn't know, oh, I didn't even know that happened. Yeah, it's 30 minutes or less, bro. Listen to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. He's the star of the show because he's the professional bettor, Steve Fezzik, at Fezzik Sports, and only at Fezzik Sports. Steve, as you know, we dive right into it. And thankfully, we both were in the black again this week. 4 units for me, 1 unit for you. Should be noted, our outstanding grader, Sean Grades, he made the correction last week. You were not up 7 units. You were up 3 units. He incorrectly graded one of the teasers. So you were up 3 last week. I was up 9. We came in the week. I was up 3. You were up 1. For the week, Steve, you're up 4 units. I was up 1 unit. So year to date, I'm up 4 units. You are up 5 units. So slow but steady through 3 weeks. Got off to a real bad start, Steve. We had a best bet on the Steelers getting 5.5, and they blew it. I think the biggest surprise to me is just how many points and yards the Steelers are giving up right now.
Yeah, without TJ Watt, they can't rush the passer, and their run defense is just abysmal. Chubb just shredded them. You got to question, well, what do the Steelers do well? If their defense is suspect and their running back isn't 100% and Trubisky's not the answer, that's a team that is spiraling down towards the basement of the NFL in my power ratings.
Yeah, not good. They're not good. They need to go to Pickett, and they need to go to Pickett soon. I don't like when we lose best bets. We were 0 for 2, I think, on best bets, unless one of them. No, we didn't even have any of the same teasers. So we were 0 for 2 on best bets. By the way, we were 5 for 5 on our teasers. I had 2. You had 3. Chiefs, Colts. You put 2 units on the Colts getting 7. Steve, you showed some faith. They won that game outright.
Yeah, it didn't hurt that I had the refs in my back pocket. Ross, how many profanities would you hear in a typical NFL football game you would play in?
Hundreds.
How is it
literally
that,
hundreds? I mean, I've seen guys yell the F word at the ref's face. Like, I've never in my 7 years saw a guy get a penalty for saying anything to anybody, let alone to another player. Maybe if you said something real bad to the ref, maybe. But I've seen people be like, why don't you call an effing you-know-what there? And the refs don't throw a penalty for that. I can't even imagine what Chris Jones said to Matt Ryan. It's awful.
Yeah, and literally freeze it. At that point in time, the Colts are losing the game 85% of the time if this penalty is not called. It totally changed the direction of the game. It didn't hurt for the Colts that Kansas City's ex-kicker, who got let go this morning, couldn't make anything, missed a field goal and an extra point. But, yeah, I mean, betting 101, solid home dog, catching a touchdown, and it cashed.
Well, I dive into the next game, Steve. Check on your audio there. You started to sound like a robot a little bit. I don't know if you want to click out, click back in or something. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Bills, Dolphins. The Dolphins were getting 5.5. You put 2 units on them, Steve, which was very smart. They won the game outright. Both of your underdogs here won the game outright. I did not realize the Bills were going to be without that many guys. I got to be honest with you. I would have taken the Dolphins if I knew the Bills weren't going to have 6 defensive starters.
Yeah, but ultimately it was the Bills' offense that disappointed in the 100-degree heat, only putting up 19 points. 2 of those being that, it was Buffalo that got the safety. But real nice effort by the Miami defense in the game.
Got it. Let's get on to the Ravens-Patriots. Steve, hop out of StreamYard, hop right back in. We'll see if that can fix your audio issue because you still got the Mr. Roboto going. We don't go head-to-head very often. It was Ravens-Patriots. Ravens were laying 3 on the road. I put 1 unit on it, kind of wimped out a little bit. Steve put 2 units on the Patriots, and it ended up working out for me, Steve, as the Ravens won 37-26. I don't think Patriots getting 3 was a bad bet, but the Ravens are playing really good football, especially Lamar Jackson right now. Then you've got Bengals Jets. Neither one of us had anything on Bengals Jets. Raiders Titans. The Titans at home were getting 2.5. I didn't understand that. I teased that up to 8.5, 6-point teaser for the Titans, paired it with the Panthers, and wouldn't you know, both teams won their games outright. So I had Titans plus 8.5, Panthers plus 8.5. Both teams won outright in those games. So that was a good teaser for me. Eagles, Commanders. I leaned Commanders. Thank goodness that's all it was because they got beat bad 24-8. Saints, Panthers, already talked about it. I had the teaser on the Panthers who won outright. Then we had a push. You don't see a lot of pushes, Steve, but Texans, Bears. I had 1 unit on the Texans getting 3. Davis Mills and Lovie Smith are both garbage in the fourth quarter. They lost by 3. It was a push. The Bears might be the worst 2-1 team I've ever seen, or at least, Steve, have the worst 2-1 quarterback I've ever seen.
Or maybe a little bit of both. What an ugly game. Dead even statistically. I've got these 2 teams and Seattle and the Jets all tied for worst team in the NFL. Pick a winner, Ross. Who's the worst team in the NFL?
I do the Ross Tucker Football Podcast Power Rankings every Tuesday, and today I had the Texans. Now, they've been close in 3 games, but you lose to the Bears when Fields is that bad, then you're not good. Lions, Vikings, I had 2 units on the Lions getting 6. They somehow blew that game at the end and lost by 4, but my bet won, which is what matters. So they won 2 units for me. Jags, Chargers. Jags were getting 7. Chargers are already, as always, Steve, incredibly beat up. At one point, they were without 5 Pro Bowlers in the game. After Bosa and Slater went down, they already didn't have Keenan Allen or J.C. Jackson or Corey Linsley, and their quarterback has fractured rib cartilage. Same old story for the Chargers. Jags lean was a good one. Wish I would have put some money on it. Packers, Bucks. Bucks were laying 2.5. You had the Packers in a couple of teasers, Steve. You had them with the Falcons, and you had them with the Cowboys, who both won outright. By all 3 of them went outright. Almost all of our teaser legs, Steve, won outright. Is there any lesson there?
I got to tell you, I love games close to pick 'em because usually someone becomes the favorite, and I love getting that +2 up to +8. Like, look no further than last night. Tease the Cowboys up to 7.5. Heck, tease the Giants up to +7.5. Both of them would have cashed these games. San Francisco, Denver, same thing. Flip the favorite. get the +1 up to the +7.5. Boom. I don't know who's going to win some of these games, but with that protection of that 3 and the 7, game lands on 3 or 7, you win.
It's amazing. I love it as well. Rams Cardinals was another best bet. I got to be honest with you. You kind of talked me into this one, Steve. That's my fault. I pulled the trigger. I think the Cardinals kind of stink. And I just thought, they played better at the end against the Raiders. Maybe they have momentum. They're playing at home. They're getting 3.5. The Rams haven't looked great. Nope. Cardinals can't score a touchdown. Kyler Murray decides not to run for whatever reason, and I hate the Cardinals. Falcons, Seahawks. You had the Falcons in a teaser. You had the Falcons in 3 teasers, and that paid off in a big way. They won the game outright. Niners, Broncos. Man, that was tough. I had 2 units on the Niners, laying 1.5. I am very surprised they played that poorly because the Broncos are not good. 9 3-and-outs, 9 times they had 3 and out, and yet here we are. I lose the bet. Jeff Wilson fumbles. Jimmy G steps out of the end zone. Jimmy G fumbles. Jimmy G throws a pick. Makes me sick. Cowboys, Giants. We both had the Cowboys in a teaser. I had the Cowboys with the Falcons in a teaser, and you had the Cowboys with the Packers in a teaser. So the teasers were awesome for us. For the week, by the way, the Cowboys won outright, 23-16. For the week, I was up 1, you were up 4. For the year, I'm up 4, you are up 5. So we're in the black for all of our listeners, which is what means the most. And we're neck and neck for our little internal competition, which is fun. Speaking of fun, by the way, you need to get in on Symbol. This is fun. Watching the valuations change for the teams. It's the stock market for sports. It's like betting on the team season long, but you can see the value going up and down. There's a reason why Pro Football Focus called it the perfect blend of sports and the stock market, offering a brand new way to invest in your favorite team and profit off their success. If you remember, last week I said I was buying some of the Jags. Well, that was a good investment. They crushed the Chargers. Everybody's getting on the Jags now. They were number 9 on my power rankings, and I already bought them a week ago when they were much lower valued. Download the Symbol mobile app for iOS by searching SIMBULL in the App Store and use promo code MONEY to receive a free team stock valued up to $150 upon signing up. That's code MONEY to claim your free stock. Get your free stock. Why would you? It's $150. Steve always says take advantage of the free money that these companies give you on the Symbol mobile app. Steve, we move forward into week 4, Thursday night football, Dolphins at the Bengals. Dolphins are catching 3.5.
Before we do that, I got to go back to one game, Detroit Lions end game, and I'll keep saying this. All of these NFL teams, we talk about valuations of teams, are worth billions of dollars. And yet they refuse to hire one smart guy from Harvard or MIT or Princeton or Northwestern to tell them what to do. So the end game, Detroit has a 3-point lead. They have a 4th and 3, and they're at the 37-yard line. They try a 54-yard field goal. It is so wrong analytically. I just am amazed that these teams have no ability. The coach has a million things he has to do. It's not the coach's fault. He's got to have a guy in his headset to explain to him, hey, the chance of making this field goal is about the same as converting the 4th and 4, but there's a little bit of a difference. Even if you make the field goal, you're only up 6. You don't win. If you make the first down, you take a kneel down. The game's over. So the first down's worth so much more than the field goal. It's not even close. Detroit is a monster favorite to win the game if they go for it. If they attempt the field goal, they're a much less of a favorite, and yet week in and week out, I see those mistakes. I don't pass post this stuff, Ross. This is all obvious to me and all of my gambling sharp friends, and we just can't believe that there's not one sharp person in that an NFL team can hire to tell them what to do.
You know, we have some great listeners like Christopher Jackson, who's a buddy of mine now, who's a big Lions fan. I can guarantee you he agrees with everything you just said because he texted me. He was so frustrated by the clock management and the decision making at the end of the game. What do you do in Miami and Cincinnati Thursday night, Steve?
All right, I can only say this once a year, so I'm saying it. This is the situational spot of the year to bet on the Bengals. I get it. I don't even know if the Bengals are better than Miami. They're two very close teams. And now the Bengals are laying 3.5. Home field's only worth 2 in the NFL. So the power ratings would say bet the Dolphins. Don't bet the Dolphins. The Dolphins are going to get crushed in this game. The spot is exceptional because the Dolphins just played in the heat and humidity, 100 degrees. Their defense was on the field for 90 plays against Buffalo. They somehow sucked it up and won to go to 3-0. And now they have to wheel back and play a Thursday game. If there's anybody that's got a nagging injury, if ever there was a time for a business decision to sit a guy or to not have him play as much or to just let a game go, this is the game. The Bengals are going to kill the Dolphins. 3 units. Cincinnati, I lay 2.5. I don't care. I'll lay 3.5, 3 units.
Wow. You hate laying 3.5. You hate that number. So do I. I'm surprised.
I don't mind laying 3.5 when it's going to close 5. And more importantly, I got the right side. Even though the power ratings don't support it one bit, it doesn't matter. Again, situational spot of the year.
I'm kind of with you on that. Plus, Tua is all banged up. I'm going to go Cincinnati minus 3.5. I'll only do 2 units on it. That's a best bet.
The best bet.
The Vikings are laying 3 on. Oh, they're not really on the road. In against New Orleans in London. For a second, I thought they were on the road. They're in London against New Orleans. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, New Orleans just too banged up for me to trust them. My first take was to take the 3, but I'm worried about Jameis and the status with his back, not being 100%. His skill position players are all banged up. I'm going to go ahead and pass this game while I turn off the bat phone.
I'm a lean to the Saints. If it was in New Orleans, I would take the Saints, but I'm just a lean since the game is across the pond in London, and I forgot about that. What about the Jags, who have been awesome the last couple of weeks, Steve, and they're getting 6.5 against the Eagles?
You know, the 2 teams I think have upgraded the most this year are these 2 teams. I had the Jaguars, a dead average team right now, which is a massive upgrade. And I have the Eagles, the 3rd best team in the NFL. And I make this game 6.5. So it's right where I make my numbers. Should be a great game. I'll pass it, though.
I can only lean to the Jaguars here, and it's just a lean. If it was 7 or 7.5, I would take the Jaguars. Eagles have just been really good, and there's a chance at home they continue to be really good, and they beat the Jags by more than 1 score. But the Jags just won 2 NFL football games by more than 24 points or more. They are riding high. Doug Peterson coming back to Philly. Jacksonville is a lean for me. What about the Bills laying 3.5 in Baltimore? Steve, I don't understand the line.
Yeah, I'll take the underdog plus the 3.5. Again, the Bills, like Miami, played in that 100-degree heat. Well, now they get a week off instead of 4 days off like Miami. It's still a bad spot for the Bills. And Baltimore playing some really good football. I think Buffalo finds a way to win by a couple points, 3 points. I'll take the home dog, 2 units plus 3.5.
Yeah, totally with you. I think the Ravens are really good. I think the Bills are still really beat up. My guess is the Bills find a way to win, but I'm not so sure. We'll see how many of these guys end up playing. And if they do play, they're not 100% because they didn't play on Sunday. I'm with you. Ravens plus 3.5, 2 units, best bet.
The best bet.
Now we get to the Jets and Steelers. This annoys me because an hour ago when I looked at this, Steve, the Jets were getting 3.5. Now all that matters is what the line is when we record. Now the Jets are getting 3 on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Steelers laying 3. Jets getting 3 on the road.
All right. I make the game 3.3. So I lean Pittsburgh now. And an hour ago, I would have leaned Jets. And for everyone that's like, that is frustrated by that, oh, Fezzik, I want you to have an opinion on the game. I will come over the top and say, last week I bet Chicago -2.5. And right here at DraftKings, I bet Houston +3.5. And I won both bets. You bet good numbers, you win if you're investing in sports betting. If you just pick a team and say, I love that team, regardless of what the number is, you have no chance to win. It's all about what the valuation is. So at 3, I'll lean Pittsburgh.
I'm going to put 1 unit on the Jets. Love them at 3.5. I'll put 1 unit on the Jets. I think the Steelers stink. Now, they played Thursday night. I haven't seen any talk about them switching to Pickett yet, but I feel like that's coming, and that is what concerns me. 1 unit on the New York Jets getting the 3. It would have been 2 units if they were getting 3.5. Seattle's getting 4.5 in Detroit, Steve.
Whoa. So all the money on the underdog Seattle Seahawks. And why not? As well as the Seahawks have played. Oh, wait. No, the Seahawks haven't played well at all. This is a curious line move. You know, Detroit is always the underdog, and they're awesome. How awesome? You know, when Detroit loses a football game, the last 15 times they've lost, they've covered 60% of the time. That's an amazing stat. Normally, if you lose a game, you don't cover. But now they're in a different role, laying the points still. I would lean Detroit in this game. Who is Seattle to be able to keep any game close right now against a foe that isn't, you know, a drag of the league?
I'm going to lean Seattle. I'm going to lean Detroit as well for the reasons why you mentioned. I don't think Seattle's good at all. Chargers, Texans has seen some significant line movement. Chargers on the road in Houston. Texans getting 5, Steve.
You know, I was on top of a lot of line moves this week. I gave my clients the Bengals back -2.5 on Sunday afternoon, but I didn't get a piece of the Texans +6, and I knew the Texans were solid value. And now I'm going to compound that mistake because should still take the Texans. And I'm so frustrated I didn't grab the +6. I'm just going to lean Texans, and they're probably going to win outright. I'm going to feel even more stupid, Ross.
I'm going to lean the Texans as well. They got to win a game at some point. However, I just don't know who's playing and who's not for the Chargers. It looks like Keenan Allen's coming back. That helps a lot. Browns and Falcons. Browns are laying 1.5 on the road.
So I love the way the Falcons are playing, an undervalued team, playing with a lot of heart and good quarterback play with Mariota. We are going to tease Atlanta. We're going to tease them with Tampa Bay. 2 long teasers through the 2 and through the 8. That's a 3-unit teaser.
Wow. Against the Chiefs, huh? I'm going to tease the Falcons as well on a 2-unit tease. I'm going to do it with the Arizona Cardinals, who are getting 2.5 on the road against the Carolina Panthers, who can't score. Love that teaser. Falcons, Cardinals, 2 units. I got them in a teaser leg as well. Titans, Colts. Titans are getting 3.5, Steve.
Yeah, you know, I think this line should, again, be like right around 3.2. But I think there's a real good chance for a close game. And if I'm catching the hook, I'm not sure Indy's any better than Tennessee. They're real close. I will take the Tennessee Titans plus the 3.5, 2 units.
Totally agree. Everything you just said. Love getting 3.5. These teams are even. Give me 3.5 points with the Titans. 2 units, best bet.
The best bet.
Commanders are getting 3 on the road against Cooper Rush and the Cowboys.
Let's check that. I think it has ticked to 3.5 based upon the solid Dallas performance. I can tell you this. If it's 3, Dallas would be a 2-unit bet. Even at 3.5, well, I'm going to pass 3.5.
It is 3.5 now. Good call.
So this is an example. There's still some 3s out there. It's just not at our book DraftKings. But if you personally can get at it, I would absolutely bet Dallas minus the 3 at this point. I'm going to even do that on air while you discuss the next game.
Got it. Chicago and the Giants. Giants are laying 3 at home against the Chicago Bears. I'm going to put 1 unit on the Giants laying the 3 points because I think the Bears are bad. And I think the Giants are going to bounce back and get a win after last night's loss.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. The price is right. In fact, you talked me into it. I'll just go 1 unit with the Giants. Best bet.
The best bet.
Cardinals, Panthers. Cardinals are getting 2.5. I already mentioned, Steve, I teased them up to 8.5, paired it with the Falcons.
All right, so I gave out Carolina to my clients last week. And by the way, when you listen to the podcast, you get my best stuff, but oftentimes it's all a timing game. If you want to buy my premium stuff at pregame.com, I can tell you last week, look ahead lines, I gave my clients Carolina. They were +3, Ross. I thought it was the most ridiculous line I've ever seen. I bombed away in Carolina. So, yeah, now that the line's moved 5 points, I would start to lean towards Arizona. I think your teaser with Arizona is good. In fact, I want to double up. I like the Atlanta teaser so much, and I want to have another best bet. I'm going to tease Arizona with Atlanta, join you with that teaser, and that'll be a best bet.
The best bet.
You know what else is a pretty good bet? I love beer. I love wings. But how about getting killer vino at crazy low prices? We're talking 30 to 70% off retail. Here at Even Money, head straight for last bottle. Whether you took the over or the under for the game, you're going to need a glass of something terrifically tasty. They got the goods. For those not yet in the know, Last Bottle is a daily wine site based in Napa. 1 wine every day until it's gone. Faster than the Chargers in the playoffs, if they even make the playoffs. Last Bottle has a deal just for Even Money listeners. Use promo code MONEY to get 10% off your next order with Last Bottle. That's lastbottlewines.com. Use code MONEY. Steve, Patriots, Packers. Packers are laying 10.5.
Not a neighborhood I like to drive through, much less get out and park, laying 10.5. I'm going to lean to New England, even with Hoyer at quarterback, but I refuse to make it a best bet. Packers are starting to play better. It's one of those, it'll be 14, and New England will have the ball in the red zone. Do they punch it in? Maybe 55% of the time. Lean New England.
Broncos getting 2.5 on the road against the Raiders. I like the Broncos quite a bit as a teaser leg, and I will pair them with the Tampa Bay Bucks. You mentioned that earlier, Steve. 2 units, 6-point teaser. Broncos are up to 8.5. Bucks are up to 8.
And we talk about how much we love games that should be close to pick 'em, and we take those +1s and +2s up to 7.5s and 8s and 8.5s. And this certainly qualifies. I like it. Best bet. I'm on board. 2 units.
The best bet.
We already talked about Chiefs Bucks. Chiefs laying 2. We like the Bucks as a teaser leg. Rams are getting 2 Monday night in San Francisco. I kind of like the Rams, Steve, as a teaser leg. I'm going to pair them with Arizona. 2 units. I got 2 teasers with the Arizona Cardinals. Rams catching 8.
Yep, I'm going to best bet that for 2 units as well. We got 5 qualifying teasers, and I like them all. And, if you want to, you could certainly mix and match every combination of those, which, again, that would be 10 combos. 5 factorial divided by 3 factorial, 2 factorial. If you want to get action on all of them, just note, you could certainly bagel and lose them all. So if you do that, you shouldn't bet more than 1 unit on each and every one of those combinations. But I'm on board with you on this one, 2-unit teaser.
The best bet.
Love it. Terrific stuff, Steve. We got a bunch of best bets this week, and frankly, we need them. Our best bets have not been great so far this year. Feeling good about it, though. As a reminder, you can always see the bets we make on the show in black and white if you become a Tuckheads level patron. Patreon.com/RT Media. You'll be a part of our private Slack channel for Tuckheads, and Sean Grady grades, posts all of them on the Even Money tab. He's at Fezzik Sports. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. Good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for listening to the Even Money Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, The Fantasy Feast, Business of Sports, and the College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.